everyone, this is Maysha with As Long As You're Breathing, and it's another impromptu here. And I'm by myself tonight, but that doesn't matter because I'm never alone when I'm with you all. And you know what I'm going to say? As long as we're breathing.
As long as you're breathing, keep living. As long as you're breathing, keep living. As long as you're breathing, keep living. As long as you're breathing, keep living.
All right, you all. Yes, I'm also a singer, songwriter, musician, and I love to interject that into everything that I do. It brings me great pleasure. And I do feel like it belongs absolutely in the world that I am in now because music is the universal gift, the universal language, actually. And certainly my earliest gift that I used. And so I honor it. No fancy song for the end tonight, though. I've put music up all weekend, so I thought I would skip that, but not skipping the theme song. So, how's everybody's weekend been? Huh? Mine was great. I went to go be supportive of my friend Gabrielle, the twin flame medium. You all know Gabrielle Washington. She was doing like a trade show type event. But it was outside. It was too cold. I supported her by leaving her my shawl. And I went shopping. Oh, and not fun shopping either. I went the kind of shopping that you have to do, like when you're running out of food in the house, that kind of shopping. So that was my big weekend. But it was great because I sat and played music all weekend and wrote songs. And I have, this is why I can't play music all the time, folks. I have pages now. I'm 1, 2, 3. I have 5 pages of song idea notes that came to me yesterday whenever I just tuned my guitar up and did a quick song. So if I keep it tuned up and I play all the time, then I don't get anything else done. So, and there's only so much of me to go around because of energy management. As you all know, that's what I'm always talking about, is managing our energy because we are made of energy. And because we're made of energy, our time management is actually energy management. It's our true self-care, actually. And I know you all have heard me talk about this before. But it's actually, it's important because it relates to why, one of the reasons why I'm so excited about what we're doing in March. In March, our Every Life is a Story events are going to be centered on spiritual awakening experiences. We've already recorded one round table event where there were 5 of us speaking. 5 of us? 4 of us? 4 of us speaking. How many fingers do I have up? 4 of us speaking. And at this roundtable event, we all discuss how spiritual awakening has been different for each of us. And yet at the same time, we end up discussing similarities as well and what it means to us. And then I have one other that's already scheduled and on the calendar that is author and speaker and coach, Shelly Roman. And I'm really looking forward to bringing her to you all. Shelly is an amazing person with an amazing story. She's actually going to do an Every Life is a Story event for us. And we're going to cover her story, but we're also going to get into her awakening, which is a huge part of her story. But I'm really hoping that Shelly becomes one of our regulars because Shelly is also certified in the same coaching modality that I am, the Crave More Life, Find Your Voice, Save Your Life coaching. And Shelly does something called Shift and has her own modality that she did. And I'm not going to give that away because, well, I don't want to ruin the story. So Shelly Roman's going to be on. We're actually recording that on the 10th, but it won't be airing that day because that day, guess who's with us live, you all? Elizabeth Kemp. Yes, Elizabeth Kemp. And Elizabeth's topic this month is actually the challenge of the mind in chronic pain. Now, you might wonder, how does that relate to what you're doing with the Every Life is a Story events where you're talking about spiritual awakening? Well, the mind in chronic pain, it's my belief that many people right now who are experiencing chronic pain, it's those especially who are experiencing it because of fight, flight, and freeze issues. Many of them are people who are actually empathic or high vibrational beings that are here at this point in time when as a planet we're going through an increase in the vibration of the planet, and because of that they're more empathic, and they have been more empathic their whole lives. And the fact that they've been empathic has had their fight, flight, and freeze mechanisms wide open their whole lives. And that has led to the conditions that they have, or in great part contributed to it, because we didn't know we were energetic beings, and we didn't know how to do daily energy management, or what I like to call our true self care. We didn't know how to manage those things. And so it absolutely fits in. And as long as you're breathing, keep living is always open to talking about chronic pain as well, because of course that's the world that I come from. Is originally, well, of course, originally music, and then also, well, yeah, I did a short stint there as a hairdresser. I'll even talk about that some, and then I became a geriatric certified RN, and then started doing long-term care consulting, and after that, finally, my health plummeted for the last time, and I took my big roll and tumble and fall into the world of chronic pain and visible illness in a more official capacity. Because once I was through rolling, tumbling, and falling as low as I thought I could go, I pulled myself back up, and I started. I found the internet. The internet had been around, of course, but it wasn't as common. It was still back in the MSN groups days before there was a Facebook. And I started helping people online with chronic pain and visible illness as soon as I could. And I've been doing that ever since. And so, as long as you're breathing, keep living actually came about because I was promoting a trip to Africa for people in chronic pain, to show them that yes, you can travel when you have chronic pain and visible illness. As a matter of fact, it's restorative and rejuvenating and so many things. And it's something that you can actually do with your family and your friends and loved ones. And that forms a bond. That's an experience to do together. And you can go on the same trips and both have a good time. It all has to do with knowing how to travel. And so we were taking a group to Africa, and I was looking for a way to promote it. And as long as you're breathing, keep living. I ended up writing a song, and from that song, once the platform that I was putting together didn't do what I expected it to do, then this became the platform that I have, and no regrets there. Life unfolds the way it should for the most part. As you all know, you've heard me talking, though, there is butterfly effect to deal with. And so some of that was butterfly effect, some of it was how it was supposed to be, and all of those things. But regardless, here we are now. And as with all things, I'm making the best of it, and I love it. I love it. As long as you're breathing, keep living, and love in my great big capital letters. I have a great time with it. And of course, the Every Life is a Story events. I started Every Life is a Story now. I don't know how many years ago, 7 or so, long before As Long as You're Breathing came along. It's when I was still in the fibromyalgia world primarily. And it came to me that, well, when you're a mind in chronic pain, you start realizing that there needs to be something more. And I now understand why I needed to escape that world, if you will. You see, I was kind of the bear in the china shop there too, because I was constantly talking about how we had to talk about fibromyalgia, or we were never going to have any understanding of fibromyalgia. And I certainly understand chronic pain, invisible illness, people, and the fact that it's hard to talk about because you get judged and people don't believe that you're ill and all of those things. But I knew that if we didn't talk about it, that people were never going to understand us. And I knew also that is if that's all we did talk about, well, then that's all we were and all we would ever have. I didn't understand then why though. And it's because we're all energy. And whenever you're in that energy of, oh my God, I'm in chronic pain. Oh my God, this is all there is for me. Oh my God, I can't tell anybody about it. Well, then that's all you're attracting to you. It's that simple. It has nothing to do with, is that person a bad person? Is that, no good or bad, no right or wrong. It's just, if that's the mindset you stay in, that's all you're going to continue to attract to you. So, but I didn't know that. All I knew was I was being guided to do other things. And I didn't know guiding was even the word to use. I just knew here that my heart was being, this isn't where I belong. It's where I belong, but it's not how I belong. And so I started Every Life is a Story. And I was saying things that every life is a story. It's your life, your story, write it your way. And as long as you're breathing, you're not out of ink. And I was saying all of those things years ago when I first started talking about it. And I would talk about how I would do episodes on my own frequently. And I would talk about how um, we were here to write our story and that we couldn't let other people in the cheap seats, be telling us how to write our story, that we had to do it our way. But we also had to understand that other people were writing their story too. And so the only story we were able to write was our own. And that these other people, they were like supporting characters in our story and we in theirs. But you don't get to tell supporting characters what to do. So the only part that we controlled was ourselves. And that's it. And that is the same with energy. So often you'll hear people talk about how they're going to manifest this and manifest that. Well, yes, we can. But we also have to remember, especially if it's relationships we're trying to manifest, that other people, well, they're manifesting what they want too. They're writing their story too. And so if they're going left and we're trying to pull them right, that doesn't work. What I didn't know then, though, was the things that have been shown to me since about and this came from the esoterical world that I ended up in, which I ended up in because I was being guided there. Hi, good to have you. Thank you for joining me. If you would put something over in the comments, I would love to see who you are. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, please type them in the comments. Thanks for joining. But so once I got into, and the way I got into the esoterical world was coming out of chronic pain, invisible illness world again, and stepping over into from Western medicine notions to just different ways of treating things. Quantum emotional healing is what I was dealing with first. And from there, I started all the meditation I was doing. I started getting all these quote unquote downloads. And that was very interesting for me, getting all of these downloads. Not totally new. I'd been getting things like this my whole life. I just wasn't aware of what it was. But you see, that was part of my quote unquote, what most people would say spiritual awakening, but I call it energetic awakening because, well, everything is energy. And that's what I was becoming aware of. I would literally be in the shower and I would start getting the downloads, which are simply messages from other dimensions of energy. And it was information that I needed to know. And it was vital information. It was vital information that I was getting. And the energies, I could feel the energies. And I'm like, hold on a second. I've heard these different voices in my head my whole life. Like one thought would be this voice and one thought would be that voice. And I thought that everybody's thoughts had a voice. Well, they don't, apparently. Mine always have, but apparently not everyone's thoughts have voices to them. Well, mine do. And no, it's not my reading voice I'm hearing. It's voices, And so, but it would be my thoughts. And so suddenly there were these energies that would be in the shower. And they were corresponding to the different types of voices that matched the different types of voices with my thoughts in my head. And then it was revealed to me that it is archangels, and that they had always been with me and always been in touch with me. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm stark raving mad, is what I thought at first. I had a son who was schizophrenic, and so yeah, I had wondered my whole life. Occasionally, off and on, I would have episodes, events that would lead me to think that maybe there were a little more to these voices that I would hear in my head, because I would occasionally hear them externally as well. And I told my ex-husband, we were on our honeymoon, as a matter of fact, and I heard quite clearly, he wears a mask, and I was like, whoa, what was that? But that was so many years ago that I didn't know, I didn't know how to ask, didn't know what to ask, and that was all I got. That was that blatant. But there were other things that happened that caused me to question when I would be with healthcare providers and say, okay, I'm a little concerned here. I live in my head all the time. I have this world of my own in my head. And they're like, do you disassociate? And I'm like, no, I know where I'm at. I know what's going on. I stay in this world. It's just I have this whole other plane of existence that I can access. I didn't use those words, but that's what it was. And they're like, well, one, people who are schizophrenic don't come to us and say, I think I'm schizophrenic. That doesn't happen. Usually we have to tell them, and then they're arguing with us, no, I'm not. And I knew that from having dealt with schizophrenics in nursing school. I knew that. But nonetheless, so I knew there was something more to what was going on with me. And I also knew that I just knew things. And I just had information that it's like, I don't know how I know this. I just know. And I know that I know. And I was quite confident about it too. I wasn't shy with it. I know. And so to me, that was energetic awakening, but it was spiritual awakening. And so all of that came about because of, I felt like at the time, my stepping into the world of quantum emotional healing, which helped me immensely with my health. How I met Elizabeth Kipp, I came across her somewhere during that time frame because she was talking about chronic pain. So chronic pain will always be a part of, as long as you're breathing, and a part of my world, because we have to deal with these fight, flight, and freeze issues. And I'm so sure that they are associated with the fact that we are highly empathic, high vibrational, and our fight, flight, and freeze has been turned wide open, and we didn't know we were in energetic bodies, and we didn't know what to do about it. And so to me, it's all very much intermingled and connected, and so it's all one big story. It's the story I've lived, actually, in great part. And so, but yeah, that's I do prefer calling it energetic awakening, and the reason is because the whole fact that we are quote unquote awakening means we are becoming aware of. So what we're actually becoming aware of, we can say spiritual, and many people are comfortable with that, but many people aren't. But when we say it's energetic awakening, that pretty much isn't going to offend anyone, whether it's the scientific minded, the esoterical, the religious, whatever world you come from. If we just say it's energy, and it is, because we are energy, and then let everyone else decide for themselves what exactly that means once we get past the universal principles of being energy, then how everyone else personifies those other dimensions of energy, that's up to them. If the scientific world wants to keep it purely, it's just a dimension, and leave it at that. If the esoterical wants to use terms that are more spiritual, if the religious want to use terms that are in their minds more spiritual, I'm good with all of it. Myself, obviously, I personify. I talk about the archangels, but that's how the energies that were that communicate with me introduce themselves as well. And so So yeah, it's all very interesting, and I talk about it very openly so that other people will feel comfortable doing so. It's very important to me that we do that. Having had a son who is schizophrenic, and then having had health issues my whole life anyway, and at that moment in time when all of this started happening, I was going through some really rough stuff. Um, the last thing in the world I needed was to think that I needed to go be on more medication when I couldn't go get on more medication. I was actually had ended up in the middle of third stage kidney disease, which is when you get to fourth, that's when you're starting to get into dialysis territory. And I'd had no clue, well, that's not exactly true. Having been a nurse, I watched my labs carefully, and I was watching the labs and questioning the labs. And my doctor was like, "No, I'm not worried about that number. It's this number." And I'm like, "Okay," and I get that, but the lab reports it this way, and the lab itself defines it this way, and this is an issue. And so we were kind of back and forth with that for a while, and then I moved across the country, and the doctors there went just stark raving, freaky nuts when they did my first lab, and they're like, "Okay, that's it." Nothing that was going to filter through my kidneys. I couldn't take anything that was filtering through my kidneys, and so that's all pain medications. So they're gone, and so but it was a wonderful blessing that happened to me. I'm not so sure sometimes that going to that particular state was it was not necessarily the right choice in so many ways. But because I went, I ended up with doctors that were very aggressive on this, and it took me about a year and a half, but I've reversed those numbers, and by doing all meditation and energy management now. And that's how I manage my fight, flight, and freeze issues. And I keep the pain dialed down. And I've learned so much more. And so much more. So it's all good. It's all good. But it was a scary time. So anyway, there was all of that going on in my life. And the last thing I needed or could do was start taking a bunch of other medications. And so I'm not. My life has been a real dichotomy, a real dichotomy. But I was born awake, and by awake I mean I was born aware of so much more than most people are aware of. I had the other dimensions talking to me. Now I wasn't aware of what that was, but they were there. I was aware. I was awake to um, getting downloads of information from the other dimensions, from Akasha, from the collective conscious, not the human collective, but the collective, the universe, the um, mass Akashic record. And I was in touch with those things all the time, and I was quite empathic, which I knew to a degree, but I didn't think in terms of energy and the full scale of what it means to be an empath in those terms. I just knew I felt and sensed things very clearly with other people's energy, and I could read a room like that, and I could read people like that, and I used that in my work. That's how I ended up learning behavioral style analysis, which just let me put terms to things that I already knew. It's not like it was new information to me. It was just now I had context within which to work with it. And so that was an amazing gift that it was handed to me because of the work I was doing with my friend Martha Workman all those years ago in long-term care. But so yeah, so I ended up realizing that I had to come forward and talk about what was happening to me so that other people wouldn't go and get on a bunch of medications, because I knew I was not schizophrenic. I knew. But it was scary to come forward and say. So, so yeah, we are at a point in time, astrologically, um, where the planet has now come up to the age of Aquarius, which is a higher vibration. And having done that, and there are more and more of us who are here now who were born awake anyway, who are naturally high vibrational. And so energetic awakening, or increased level of consciousness of the fact that we are energy, of the other dimensions, of our multidimensional aspects, of the fact that we are multidimensional, all of these things, we are becoming aware of it. And that's all awakening means, is we're aware. That's all it means. And so in this awareness, what is happening, and this is the beauty of it. Hi, good to have you. Thank you so much for joining me. Please, if you have any comments, please, or questions, please put them in the comments. We'd love to hear what you had to say. Thank you for joining me. But as we are raising in this awareness, I started talking to them and I'm losing my train of thought now. Oh, okay. This is the beauty of it. As we are raising in this awareness, what this is doing is also causing us to understand the issues going on in the world and how we got to where we are and what we truly can do to fix it. I know a conversation I had with the brilliant Dr. Thomas, my son, a few years ago, because I've always been actually quite conservative. Not one of those crazy conservatives, but conservative. And there I go labeling people crazy. Sorry about that. By that I mean militant or so into it that I felt like we should be overrunning the world or something. Not like that. That's what I mean. But a moderate conservative. I was a compassionate conservative. How about that? And my son and I were talking. And he's like, Mom, I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. He said, I'm just not ready to give up on utopia yet. And I said to him, son, I don't want to give up on utopia either. I believe that until all of us are willing to do our part, well, how do you take the first step? Because if it just takes one group that you can't trust. And so I don't know how we get there. I don't disagree. I believe we're meant to be utopic as well. But I don't see how we get there as long as we're not able to know that we can trust every group involved. And I don't know how we get there. Well, now I understand how that happens, actually. And there are no need for any labels. There's no need for me to say conservatives or crazy conservatives or crazy anything. There's no need for labels, and being aware of that. Hi, good to have you. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, please put them over in the comments. So glad to have you. And what made me aware of all of this was realizing it's all about energy. And because everything is one, the stability of the one, which is meant to be healthy, happy, whole, and complete, requires that we each are healthy, happy, whole, and complete, plugged into our vibrational frequencies, living the lives we came here to live. It has to do with the fact, and so much of this has been channeled to me. I've been so blessed with how much has been channeled to me about, hey, thank you so very much, about how all of this works, about the fact that we are, it's reverse engineered, actually. We decide this before we come in our own free will. We decide, this is who I am, and this is what I believe. And so, and this is what I want my life to be. And we all sign up for that. And then we get here, and then we enter life, and it's supposed to unfold as a surprise as we listen to our heart space. But we have to overcome the mind and all the societal programming and all those things that are lower vibrational or from denser energies, which we are rising up out of. And to live these beautiful stories that, now you see how it falls in back into, hi. Oh, hi, Helen. Good to see you. I love seeing you too. So I put music out all weekend. I hope that you've seen that. I hope that you've seen that. Thank you so much. As a matter of fact, the song that I put out yesterday, the first one I did, I thought of you and Elmer. I almost dedicated it to you all. And I was late for something and didn't get it up. So sorry about that, but it's so good to see you too. But so as we each step into the role that we said here we would play, we stabilize oneness. And once we stabilize oneness, then everyone is up in the vibrational frequency they're supposed to be. We all get to live our happy ever after, the lives we came here and planned to live. And that's how we bring peace to the world. And I'm so very glad that all of that was channeled to me. But and so much more has been channeled to me. Massive amounts of stuff. I have otter notes like you wouldn't believe that have been channeled to me. I'll be writing for the next 10 years. But so yeah, that's why it's so important now that we talk about that we all be talking about um, spiritual awakening, whatever you want to call it. If you want to call it spiritual awakening, if you want to call it increasing conscious awareness, or as I prefer, energetic awakening. We are all just becoming aware of the fact of what the facts are. We are having um, new revelations, new information that we can't deny anymore, that we're just being made aware of. And so but for many people, it's happening like it happened to me. All of a sudden, they're feeling or seeing even energies around them that they didn't before. And so it can be quite scary, and they can end up thinking that they need to be on medication. They can end up thinking they can't talk about it with other people. And that if they do, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? That sort of thing. So I always want to provide a safe space for those people who know that, yes, that's a guardian angel that I hear is talking to me. It's my archangel that's talking to me. It's whoever. Yes, it is. And so, so I always want to give space for that. And how do you bring it up if you have this stuff happening to you? That's another thing that I want to be sure that we talk about is how do you approach this subject? You can usually tell by, because we're empathic, so you can usually tell when you're in a room with people that you can talk about it. You can feel the energy. The energy is just different. But it's becoming more and more prevalent. There are more and more of us all the time, and so it's getting easier and easier to talk about. But I certainly want you to have a place to do that. And this is why all of this is important now. And so that's why March is being dedicated to that. Also, astrologically, the way the energies are. April is supposed to be like a hi, good to have you. Thank you so much. If you'd like to leave a comment, I'd love to hear who you are. Thank you for joining me. Astrologically, we are about to have another wave of energy hit us that are going to cause people to come up in frequency and be more people are going to be aware. Even more are going to be aware or awakening, and that is supposed to like peak in April. And by peak, the beginning of the peak, it's going to go on for a good long period of time, like I don't know, 16 months of it, I believe, something like that. But and so since we're coming up to that, that means that March, that energy is going to be ramping up or amping up, and so people will start to be experiencing this in March. And so I wanted to make that March's topic is spiritual awakening experiences, because not everyone experiences it the same way. You may not be having any of the things I'm talking about at all. You may not have met your archangels. You may not be hearing from the Akashic records or from the universal collective consciousness. You may not be experiencing any of those things. You just may realize that you just are more intuitive. You're more in touch with your intuition, or you may be feeling other things. And so that's why I'm bringing people on to talk about what they're experiencing. So you can hear a variety of ways that spiritual awakening or increased in consciousness or energetic awakening, as I like to call it, is happening to people. So you can be like, oh, well, her story doesn't match me at all, but all of that makes sense. That's me. That's me. And which is the purpose of every life as a story anyway, is for us all to see that we're not the only one. Because when we're brave and bold and we'll speak out and we'll say, this is me, this is how I'm showing up in the world, this is what's going on with me, there's almost always going to be someone else out there who's going to identify, usually lots of somebodies. And they need to hear that. That way they can be brave and bold, and they can live their best and highest good. They can live their life open and authentically, so they can be happy. You see, this is the main thing, is unless we are living authentically, unless we're being who we really are in the heart space, then we're not happy. And when we're not in the vibrational frequencies of joy and happiness and bliss and the less dense vibrational frequencies, when we're not in those, when we're in the heavy vibrations, sadness, depression, anger, unforgiveness, when we're in those kinds of energies, when we're surrounded by those kinds of energies, people who are short tempered, people who are cold, people who are distant, all of those kinds of things, those lead to health problems because that leads to stuck energy. You see, everything is energy. We are in energetic bodies, we are energetic beings that are also in physical bodies. Now, the physical body, as we all know, we've had all sorts of illnesses, all sorts of health issues that medicine can help, but doesn't fix. They band aid. And we had mental issues, emotional issues, and spiritual issues, the same thing. Well, it's because what's caused it is the fact that we are energetic beings in these bodies and we're not managing the energy. And by managing energy, that means we're not doing anything to keep the energy moving. All of those things are caused because the energy gets stuck, literally stuck. And so when we're managing the fact that we're energetic beings and we're managing our energy, then we're not staying stuck. And then we can actually do something about those health issues, mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual issues. We can actually do something about those. Now, I'll be the first to say this and mean it. If you're in a car wreck and you have a broken arm, a broken leg, a broken something or another, no, this isn't what you need. That is your physical body that has been damaged, and you need to go to the hospital and have that fixed. I'm not anti Western medicine by any means. As a matter of fact, we need Western medicine. All the information that we have, all those things are gifts. So we need all of that. This is about integration, not that is a problem that happened. We knew as a people, we knew all of this, but it all became taboo. And we took it out of our knowledge here and we stopped using it and we stopped being integrated. Hi, good to have you. Thanks for joining. Please let me know who you are. And if you have any questions, leave them over in the comments. And so when we stopped using all of our energetic body, when we stopped being in touch with the higher vibrational dimensions and letting them help guide us, that's when we got into all these problems. But there were all sorts of reasons for that, which have been channeled to me, by the way, which they're all very interesting. I'm quite sure. Hi, good to have you. Thanks for joining me. Please put your name and comments over here. Any questions you have, I'd love to answer them for you. So where was I at? I keep going back to, I keep having people join me. So it's 8 o'clock on a Sunday. So, okay. So as we shut all of that down and we weren't using that, that is how we, and as I said, I've had lots of stuff channeled to me about how and why that has happened. And it's a great deal about Atlantean times, a great deal that explains, a great deal of things explained to me. Historic things that in multiple cultures, things that maybe we thought were myth or that some people have believed are absolutely true, et cetera, et cetera. I've had a lot of that explained to me. It's very interesting. I've got, like I said, I've got years of writing to do, you all, so I've got to get on it. But not understanding that we're in energetic bodies and not taking care of that first, we were having stuck energy and we created all of these health issues. Now, how do we unstick energy? Well, some things are stuck from deep traumas. That's true. Maybe we were abused, or maybe we were in an accident and it was quite traumatic to us, or maybe it's ancestral stuff that's with us, the family lineage and just how the family was, and so it's been passed down to us. Or perhaps it's even for those who are into the esoteric. Perhaps it's even energetic imprints on your DNA, your energetic DNA from past lives. But whatever it is, anything of that nature, we do have to heal from. And healing from stuff like that, understanding what's going on with us energetically, that allows us to understand how to actually heal. Because before, we could be in years of psychotherapy. We could have been in an accident and then needed years of therapy to help us deal with the pain that we were in, et cetera, but we weren't getting anywhere. But now, it's why Elizabeth Kipp's segment this month is going to be so interesting. Now we can be in pain, but we can know how to handle that energetically, and by handling it energetic, it gets handled in the physical body now. Now we can know how to deal with the fact that we were abused, or that we had other kinds of traumas, or we can release or let go of ancestral type things. We know how to do that, and we can then pull our energy from that into the present. You see, that's what we do. When energy is stuck, that just means that it's somewhere it shouldn't be, and we're not utilizing it in the present to move forward with our timeline. That's all it means. And so to unstick it, we don't have to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and go into such detail that we drag ourselves back through the trauma again, that we bring our vibration down again to those denser energies. We don't have to do that. We just have to identify it and then understand that we need to release it. And that releasing it means we transmute those energies. We take the denser energies, we identify them. We set the intention, the energetic intention for our energetic beingness to release that, to transmute that energy or change it into higher vibrational energy. Unconditional love is what you always want to aim for. But you set the intention for what else you want to come into your life and replace it. And then you call that energy back to yourself. Call that energy back to yourself. And then you utilize that energy in the present. And that's healing. That is how we heal those things. And we can quantum leap healing when we go straight to just forgiving everything. Just forgive it. You can't change it anyway. So why hold on to any dense energy of unforgiveness over anything? Just forgive it. Forgive yourself. Forgive everyone involved. And whether they were, let's say we put the label, they were in the wrong on it. Forgive it. You can't change it. And all you're doing is robbing yourself of the present when you leave your energy there. So forgive it. Transmute that energy and pull it to your present and go on with your beautiful life. Your vibration is going to come up. And then what's going to happen is when your vibration comes up, you're going to start attracting in higher vibrational energies to yourself. You're going to attract in a different life. But as long as you stay in that energy, that's the energy you're going to keep attracted to yourself. You're going to attract more of the same. That's why we have to release it, transmute it, let it go. And that's why it works, is because it only takes 17 seconds, according to other people's research, not my own, of being in a higher vibrational frequency to start things heading your way. We can do this so much more quickly. Hi, good to have you. Thank you for joining me. If you would put your questions or comments over into the chat, I would love to answer any questions you may have. So there is so much that we can now do just because we know this. And then we can move our lives down our timeline. We can be healthy, happy, whole, and complete, because these higher vibrational energies, that is where we are healthy. Have you ever noticed that? And I'm getting into Dr. Bruce Lipton's honeymoon effect here. But whenever you've gotten that new job that you just love, or maybe you've gotten that new car that lights you up, or maybe you've got a whole new circle of friends and everything is going great, or maybe it is a new love in your life and things are going great. You ever notice how good you feel? Have you ever noticed how everything else in your life seems to be better? You get a spring in your step. You jump up in the morning. You're happy. You're excited. Okay. All of that is because you have stepped into a higher vibrational frequency. less dense vibrational frequency. You stepped into being you. You stepped into being you. You are now in sync with who you came here to be. And that's when life is going amazing. Well, that's what your life is supposed to be. That's what your life is supposed to be. And as long as you stay in that, you'll keep attracting that into you. But if you start listening to, let's say, the family, well, those friends you've got now, they're a different sort. They don't seem all bad necessarily, but we don't hang with people like that. They're not our type. And you're spending way too much time with them, and you're not doing this, this, and this anymore. And the family expects that. Oh, shoot. My family doesn't like them. And I'm not spending time with family like I did. And so you start moving your energy from where you're at that is working so well for you, and you start putting it where somebody else expects you to. And I don't care who that somebody is. It's the cheapskates. It's your energy. You decide. It's your energy. You decide. We're going to move on to that in a little bit because that sounds kind of selfish. We're going to get to that too. You decide. Because that's what's going to keep you lit up and healthy, happy, whole, and complete. But that's the kind of stuff that pulls us back. Or we're loving this job that we're in, but okay, I realize you like that job, but in our family, we're all policemen. And so it's time to grow up now, and it's time to go to the police academy, and it's time to leave that job. And because that's what we do here. We put up with it for 5 years. We let you get some of that youth out of the way, but now it's time to come into the family business now. It's time to toe the family line here. This is what's expected of you. Well, every generation of the family's done this, and so I better too. No. Your vibration is going to get more dense. You're not going to be happy. It's not who you authentically are. And because of that, your energy is not going to be where it needs to be. And so you're going to attract things into your life that are not in alignment with you. And it's going to affect all aspects of your life, not just that. We can't compartmentalize that this way. Now, it is true, we can be very in a line here and very in a line there, and then just out of a line here. But the fact that we're out of a line here, that pulls us down completely. And so we can have great things happening in aspects of our lives. But when we get our whole life into alignment, then everything comes up. And then that great stuff, well, that becomes greater. And then we've brought the stuff that wasn't so good, we've brought it up too, to the same level. Once we are being our authentic selves, who we came here to be, it just keeps coming in. So that's why we want to be in our vibrational frequency. Now, I talked about, I sang a lot this weekend. So I talked also about how maybe that sounded selfish. It's not selfish. The way we show up in the world is first and foremost, how do I want others to treat me? Okay, I got it. Now, that's how I'm going to treat myself. And when I treat myself that way, that's when I'm doing true self-care. That's when I put myself in vibrational alignment, because that's what's going to feel good to me. If that's what I want to, that's how I want others to treat me, then it's how I see myself. It's how I want my life to be. It's what my heart knows I want. See, that's why we do that. Because when we look at how we want others to treat us, then we're allowing ourselves to let the heart open up and say, well, if you're asking me that, this is how we want to be treated. Yeah. So there's a method to this. So then you circumvented the whole, what does the mind think? Are you in your heart space and all of that? You've done it in a very selfless way. How do I want others to treat me? We have to transcend the mind sometimes in sneaky ways. And so the mind is like, well, yeah, how do we want to be treated? That's an important question. Yeah, you find out the answers to that. It's okay if it comes from the heart. We'll take that. You've got to sneak around with the mind, folks. It's very brilliant and very helpful, but sometimes it'll get in our way. And so we, instead of fighting it, let's just be clever with it and say, yeah, how do we want others to treat us? Well, yeah, that feels good. All right, let's treat ourselves that way. Oh, I like that. I'm all for that. Let's treat ourselves that way. Okay, here's the kicker though. Now that we're treating ourselves that way, we have to show up in the world that way. What? Well, I thought this was about us. It is about us. When we show up in the world this way, that's the energy we put out, and so that's what we get back to us. The protons and electrons and neutrons that we're attracting to us, they match those. Oh, well, that's what we want. That's what we want. And so you can't barricade yourself off and say, okay, this is me. This is how to treat me. And get those protons and electrons and neutrons flying your way. When you put those kind of barriers up, then you can't do that. Now, are there people that are going to be in your orbit, perhaps, that you didn't attract in? Maybe you're at a job and love the job, but you didn't do all the hiring. And so there are people in your orbit there that you didn't attract in. They're just in the same orbit as you because they're in the same job as you. So if your energies don't match, then yes, you may have to put up boundaries with them because that may be what it takes to keep their energy from overrunning yours. Or if you have family members, because just because someone's family doesn't mean we're in the same energy. So you may have to do that with them. You may have to do it with other people that are not energy that you've attracted in. But if it's energy that you've attracted in, all you have to do is know your parameters. This is me and this is how I show up. This is what I expect of me. And what I expect of me, well, that's my parameters. That's my energetic field. That's the integrity of my energetic field. And when we show up in the world that way and we say, this is me, this is how I show up, this is what I expect of me, this is what you can expect of me. But then those parameters are all we need because we're only going to be attracting into us energy that is like ours. And it's not going to overrun those parameters. As a matter of fact, it's going to mesh with us. It's going to be the right energies. So no, it's not being selfish at all. Now again, there can be other orbits that are involved that we didn't necessarily attract in, or we've raised our frequency and now we no longer want to attract in. So boundaries are necessary sometimes, but parameters. Use more parameters, less boundaries. There's so much more I could say, folks. Understanding that you're energetically awake or that you have now raised your level of consciousness. Yes, I do want to say a little more about that. I've explained that all that means is you're now aware of something. Because other people are not aware of the same thing you are, that doesn't make them lesser than you. It just means they're not aware. As a matter of fact, in other areas of consciousness or knowledge or all the information there is there to know, they may be as awake, if not more awake than you. Their frequency on some other area, in some other area, may be even at a lesser dense area than yours, therefore higher than yours. So we can't put labels just because someone believes something or sees something in a way that we don't. It's just the level of consciousness they're at. That's just where they're at. So there is no, in energy, there is no good or bad. There's no labels like that. People just are where they are. Now, that does not mean that we overlook the fact that somebody is an abusive person or a narcissistic behavioral style or a borderline personality disorder or any of those things. No, we don't overlook those. And there's, at one point, I'm going to have to break down and do a whole teaching on all of that and explain those types of energies. I'm hesitant to do so because it's not a fun topic, to be honest. But certainly those energies, those are boundaries. You've got to put boundaries up to those. You have to put boundaries up to those. Those are going to be the energies that much of your traumas and things are going to come from. And that you have to heal. But now, There are many energies in our lives that we don't have to heal, that we simply have to progress from because it was our old life and now it's not. Now we just are moving down a timeline. It's like when the family said, we don't like those friends, and those friends are keeping you from spending time with us. Well, your family may be lovely. It may not mean that you need to release and heal from the family, but you have changed and grown and you are just progressing down your timeline. And now you have your own group of people that match you energetically. So you have to figure out for yourself what the distribution of your energy is going to be there. You have to go into your heart space. How would I want to be treated? Oh, yeah, well, I wouldn't want to be ignored. And I wouldn't want to be this, and I wouldn't want to be that. Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. We wouldn't. Okay, then that's how we're going to show up. We're going to treat ourselves that way, and then we're going to show up in the world that way. So we're not going to ignore the family. We are going to go spend time with the family, but we're going to explain that we're not giving up the friends either. Well, we don't have to explain, but we're going to say, yes, we're going to spend some time with you. My friends aren't going anywhere if they keep insisting. So it depends on what their level of consciousness is. If they're willing to let you move on down your timeline, you got no problem. You just reset where your energy distribution is. And our energy distribution is our gratitude. Are you grateful for your family? If you are, you're going to continue to make space for them energetically in your life. But if you're oil and water and there's nothing good coming from that, you may choose not to. And that's okay. That's okay. If you're not in energetic alignment, if it's a bad situation, if they don't respect your boundaries even, if it's a problem for you, then that's okay. You don't have to do what society expects and, oh my God, I got to go spend there. I'm expected to be there 3 days a week. Say, no, you don't. You don't have to do that. But you don't have to be disrespectful about it either. How do you want to be treated? Do it in a way that matches your own energy. When you go into a different energy, remember, you're going to attract that energy into your life as well. So however you handle these situations, handle them in the energy that you want to be dealt with in all things. So that's what you attract to you. I'm a very busy person. I try, though, to never put anybody off or ignore their calls or text or that kind of thing. I may be a while getting to some of them, but I answer everyone because I don't want to not be answered. If I have a question of someone, I've got a question. I asked it for a reason. I don't want to be ignored. But if I ignore other people, I'm going to get ignored. Now, there may be some people who won't ignore me because we're in the same energy as one another, or because something about me, they need something from me. And so we're in the same energy for that reason, or they're just putting themselves in that energy because they need something from me. But if I want genuine communication, then I have to communicate genuinely. So I'm very honest with people. I tell them when I'm doing stuff like this, my phone's on silent. It'll be turned over. I won't know that you've contacted me. Whenever I see that I've been contacted, I will get back to you. If I don't get back to you right away, it's because I have stuff going on and I can't. But now, at the same time, this is just a phone. All those crazy crank things that come through that are, it's time for your car warranty, or we want to sell you new insurance, or any of those things. No, I don't fool with those. I don't fool with those. But people I don't ignore because I don't want to be ignored. When we put out the energy of disrespecting someone by ignoring them, we're going to get the energy of disrespect back. It may not come back in this way because people may need us, so they may answer our phones whenever we contact them. But we're going to get disrespected in some other way. If people have reached out to you and put energy out into you, there's a reason for it. Now, if the person contacting me is doing so to be belligerent, if it's somebody who's from a past energy or from another energy, a disresonant energy, and I have a true reason they're crossing my perimeter or even my boundary that I've put up, and I've made that choice. And in doing so, I've not put myself into an energy differently than how I want to be treated, then that's another reason not to answer or get back to someone. But we really need to look at those things because it's that simple. Just as simple as ignoring someone that you don't really want to ignore, but you're also not taking the time to deal with. You're putting that out. That's the energy you're putting out, and that's what you're going to get. There's going to be something you need from someone, and the energy you're going to get back is, oh, well, they'll get back to me eventually. That'll happen for me eventually. This will happen for me eventually. It's going to happen, right? It's going to happen eventually. Well, yeah, eventually you're going to get back to those people who you have no reason not to be getting back to other than you're just not. It's all about energy, folks. How do you want to be treated? And so these things are so simple and yet apply so much to our lives, our daily lives. It is our manifesting. I know we're going into an hour now, but I know everyone has heard the word, oh, manifest the life you want. Manifest this. And oh, it's magical. It's not magical, it's energy. It's not magical, it's energy. It's magical understanding it because we didn't before, but it's still energy. It's energy. And yes, I find it magical because it lights me up and I love talking about it and I love sharing it with people. But it's not magic. It's energy. It's science. And so it's very important that we know all of this for that reason. And we're stepping into an age where we do. So how we utilize all this is so important. We utilize it in our daily lives. Manifesting. That's the word that's out there. We're manifesting this and we're manifesting that. That's manifesting. That's it. Whatever energy you're in, that's what you're going to manifest back. And so what life do you want? Put yourself in that energy and keep yourself in that energy. You want love? Be a loving person. You want people to respect you? Be respectful of others. You want people to respond to you in a timely, respectful way? Respond to others timely and respectfully. You want to have money. You want to be successful. Do the things that bring in success. Put your energy in those things. If you're leaving your energy in other stuff and not doing the stuff that attracts in success, if you want to be a writer, you have to write. You have to be in the energy of writing. If you want to be a performer, you have to be in the energy of being a performer. If you want to be an architect, you got to go to school. You got to put yourself in the energy of being an architect and attract that into your life. It's not magical, but it is energy. Now, if you want to be a respected architect, then you have to respect other people. And then you'll be a truly successful architect. It's all about energy, folks. And that's why spiritual awakening is so important, is so we take it all and we are aware of it and we start learning how to utilize the knowledge that we have, our awareness, the fact that we are awakened to it. And we start using it to heal the things we can heal, progress down our timeline the way we are meant to progress. So we start understanding the honeymoon effect. So we understand what manifesting really is. So we start understanding how all this applies to relationships, because we didn't even get there, folks. And we've been talking relationships all of February, which it still is February. But yeah, so anyway, we're going to keep talking that because a Twin Flame Tuesdays, those will continue with Gabrielle Washington. On Tuesdays, my friend Gabrielle, she answers questions. I moderate for her, and she answers questions from her very large Twin Flame group. And so we do that on Tuesdays. Gabrielle and I are also doing, she's the lead author in a compilation book I'm putting together on Twin Flame stories. So if you know any Twin Flames who would like to tell their story and would like to understand how to become an author, a first-time author especially, and understand how to do that energetically and even how to turn it into their business, because that's one of the things I'm going to teach them, is how to write their story in a way that they can use their story then actually as a business. So there's so much you're going to get from this if you come and be a part of this Twin Flame compilation book, or if you know any people out there who have a Twin Flame story and would like to tell their story. And no, you don't have to be a writer to do it. It's an opportunity for you to learn so much So yes, come and join us in the Twin Flame compilation. So yes, we're going to be talking relationships because everything is relationship, because everything is one. And when one thing in energy moves, it moves something else. That's why there's butterfly effect. And that's why we all have to be in our unique vibrational frequency and living our happy ever after, so that the universe, oneness, can be whole and complete and orderly instead of in chaos. It really does matter. You being you and having everything you're supposed to have makes a difference. It makes all the difference. And that's what we're all wakening up to. And it's a beautiful thing. And it goes back to Dr. Thomas and I talking about, Mom, I just haven't given up on utopia yet. Neither have I, son. Neither have I. All right. So, March, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to have several shows, all sorts of people coming on talking about their energy awakening experience or their spiritual awakening or their increase in consciousness. And Elizabeth Kidd talking chronic pain. Gabrielle and I will still be doing Twin Flame. And all of these things fit. They all go together. So I look forward to seeing you all in March. Tomorrow night, though, it will still be February, and at 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern, Scott Holmes and I will be back on doing, it won't be an impromptu because it's obviously planned, but Scott and I will be doing a live. And who knows what Scott and I will talk about. We're going to be on the cusp there. We're going to be at the end of relationship month and at the beginning of spiritual awakening month. So we may talk about spiritual awakening and relationships. I don't know. Who knows what Scott and I'll talk about, but it will be amazing because his energy is amazing. Scott is a second author in the upcoming book in the series of Find Your Voice, Save Your Life. It's going to be the men's book where men talk about being transcendent and how difficult that can be in the world today because they're showing up differently than what is the traditional men's role here. And so, while it may be great with their buddies who are like them, with the other buddies or their family or their dads or their uncles or brothers or whatever who are still very in the patriarchal mindset, it's very uncomfortable. And so, yeah, so I have great respect for men that are transcendent. And I know a lot of transcendent men, and I greatly honor them. Now, that doesn't mean that they see everything the way I do. See, that's part of being transcendent. A transcendent person knows that you can agree to disagree. There's many aspects to being transcendent. So it doesn't mean they necessarily believe everything I believe. As a matter of fact, they don't have to. That's the beauty of it. So that's what March is going to hold. And please help us grow YouTube. I'm not putting any money into growing YouTube at this time. I'm being a little more targeted than that, and so I'm waiting to put any money into growing YouTube. But I appreciate all of you who do watch, if you would. Always putting the thumbs up because that helps us in the YouTube algorithms. And also, please following the channel. That helps immensely. And hitting the little bell so that you get the notifications when we come on. That would be a great help to me if you would do those things. I would be most appreciative. And if you would share all of this and let others know about it, I would appreciate that too very much. It would be very helpful to me. There's going to be everything here. There's going to be As Long as You're Breathing episodes. There's going to be Every Life is a Story episodes and impromptu lives like this. And of course, I'm still going to be writing and playing and singing and throwing those things in because as long as I'm breathing, it's such a part of who I am. And what I write and play and sing, well, authentically represents me. And I'm always going to be authentic with you all. That's how we live in great big capital letters. So I encourage all of you to do the same. Every day, you be you. As long as you're breathing. Live, laugh, and love. Great.